to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
I hope you're doing better.
I'm chilling, man.
Just chill.
You know me.
Oh, yeah.
Relax. Don't do much.
Don't do too much outside of work, right?
Nah.
Oh, man. Whew, here we are. I want to thank everybody for their support. Like I tweeted this morning, with the Century stuff that came out late. Because we recorded that on the 7th of March.
Yeah.
And that thing turned out to be 2 whole hours of fun and answering everybody's questions. So that didn't render in full because Premiere is fun like that. And that's why we did it in the clips this week.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
really it. And hopefully you guys check it out. You know, we've been promoting it, linking it. We got a bunch of really fun hockey and non-hockey questions in there. It was a fun time. It was a really, really good time. It's probably my favorite thing we've done now.
Really?
I don't know, because it was just getting to just answer, like, because we don't do that.
Yeah, it was different. I liked it.
So it was just like getting to answer everybody's questions and talk about things more or less that aren't as much hockey.
Right.
At times, right? Like you said, you know, Billy's question was probably your favorite.
Yeah, for sure.
The one about the concerts.
Yeah, I mean, it was one that there were a couple of questions that had me kind of have to dig back and think a little bit. So that's all.
Yeah.
If I have to think about a question, it's a good question.
I mean, like Susie's was great on explaining how to grow into fandom. For half-assing the questions, my mom had some really good ones.
What was I think it was like the best, like most memorable moment. One was one that I enjoyed.
That was one from her was favorite moment, and then how our fandom started.
Yeah.
How we became hockey freaks.
Exactly.
Yeah. But we're here. It's, you know, mid-late March. We only have a chunk of the regular season to go. But madness is underway.
It's the time of the year, man.
In the college basketball arena, right?
Absolutely.
Underdogs, upsets. I've never been the biggest basketball guy, but like I know how big this is.
I have had a very successful March so far. Let's just say that.
Yes, you have, with DraftKings Sportsbook, right?
Mm-hmm.
Biggest tournament in college basketball is here. Right now, new customers bet $5 on college hoops and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. And for a limited time, all customers can score a no-sweat bet during round 1 and 2 of the tournament.
So,
you go to the
just
app.
To share with people. Oh, dude. Okay,
Yeah,
because I was thinking,
do you want to do the thing first, or do you want me to finish the read part?
I want to share with people what has happened so far in March Madness from my end on DraftKings.
Okay, go for it.
So, since the start of March Madness, I have won on Maryland, Furman, Missouri, Princeton, Penn State, Pittsburgh, and then the big one yesterday, put $4 down, Fairleigh Dickinson.
Wow.
Went over $70.
That's fairly ridiculous.
Wow. Wow. That is fairly corny even for you.
Yes, it is. It's not even my joke. That's like a throwback Let's Play joke. But yeah, you go to the app, you opt in, you place your no sweat bet this weekend. If it doesn't hit, you get your bonus bet back up to $10, people. So, I mean, we know what March Madness is, and we know it's just the loser machine, as John Boyce likes to put it, right?
Yeah, I actually used it's funny, I used my no sweat bet yesterday. I had to use it on 3 separate times, but I just kept winning, so I still have it. And I put it on a different one today. Here's the thing: like you had a no sweat bet, like it pays back up to $10. But just put $10 on just a ridiculous upset that probably won't happen. If you put $10 on Fairleigh Dickinson to win with a no sweat bet, you're guaranteed basically to get that money back. But if it hits, you would have won like a really big chunk of money yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Probably would have won over $200.
And I mean, for me, my experiences with March Madness is really just like family that loves college basketball. And I have a lot of family that like cheers on more favorites than anything, like a Kentucky or a Duke. And
yeah,
that kind of
I mean, if you're like I always say, like it's good to root for upsets in like the first 2 rounds, but then after that, you want to see the remaining like contenders go after, because it was like 2019 was like the year we had all those crazy upsets like everywhere in the bracket. I think that's when Loyola Chicago made it to the Final Four and whatnot. And then like the final was like Virginia and Texas Tech, and nobody watched.
I think Bowling Green had at least a good couple of first like rounds out of that. I can't remember.
Recently, I don't know. They haven't made it in a long time, I don't think.
It's not like they've made it, but they at least like won a round.
They've had fun in the MAC tournament. I watched them a couple days ago when I went to. It would have been about a week ago, I'd say.
The basketball and the hockey programs, man. That's what BG's known for right now. But yeah, keep an eye on March Madness as we roll along in the tournament, people. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with the code THPN. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, win or lose. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code THP, and all of our fun stuff is in the description, as always. So, Kepi Keepers by DraftKings. Do you want to go first?
I mean, this is an easy one.
Pretty easy, right?
I think so. You got to get, like, he's had such a rough season. He's been so snake bitten. Just the relief.
I think we're going to agree on
Sillinger.
This. Yes, we are.
No, to me, like, it's that was the biggest moment from the game yesterday, for sure.
Let's get silly with it. Cole Sillinger getting both Kepis, right? That's his first goal since November, dude.
Been 45 games. I mean, this guy, and it's not like he's not getting chances.
No, and he's because for the longest time, and we rehashed this point so much, it's because he's not getting time.
Yeah,
he's not getting ice.
Granted,
time.
It's still time. It's not like Liam Foodie's getting a lot of time either, and we've complained a lot about that guy. That guy has more goals than Cole does this season.
That's right. Yeah, he's actually.
So, like, if we have to be fair here,
yeah, I like Cole Sillinger a lot. Utilizing your time, right?
Yes, and Liam's done a hell of a job doing that lately. Cole hasn't really done it much this season, but yeah, I still have a lot of faith in the player because we've seen what he can do. We've seen at times, those bursts last season.
Yeah, and he's still a teenager. Like, we got to cut him some slack on that.
He's still 19 freaking years old. He's not even 20. Like,
right.
So it's been tough. And we did predict before the season, you and I both said that we expect there to be a sophomore slump from the kid.
We just didn't think it was going to be this bad.
It was going to be this bad. Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year. But for right now, it was such a relief to see him get that goal. And who knows?
Huge.
Maybe it's like Liam a little bit, where now that he gets this goal, maybe he just goes on a little bit of a streak here and gets 3 goals in his next 7 games or something like that.
Right. The thing with Cole is just, we expected so much more out of him, and then he goes so cold, and then now he finally gets the monkey off his back.
It's a tale of two different stories, really. Last year, we didn't know what to expect because he wasn't even our first pick,
right,
in that draft, and we're waiting on this kid. He comes into the season and he plays well. Granted, it's in spurts. Obviously there wasn't a ton of consistency, but again, he was only 18 years old.
So much hype for being the youngest player in the league.
And after coming into the season with no expectations because we were just stunned that he made the team out of camp, we kind of expected him to build off of it. Not us necessarily, but a lot of people expected him to kind of build off of that.
Right.
And I think that a lot was put on him. And I don't want to say that he's like cracked into the pressure, but it's a lot for a kid, especially on a team that hasn't been good this year.
Well, you got to remember too that like, okay, so he's a 12th overall pick, which is great, like decently high first rounder.
12/11th.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks, Arizona.
Yeah.
So he's that high of a pick. He's the son of a decent NHL player.
Yeah, Mike Sillinger had a real good career.
And he was literally everywhere, Mike.
Yes, God, they can do for everybody.
And Cole, like, he came up through the Columbus program too, didn't he? Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was born in Columbus.
Yeah, he was at least born in the area. So getting that pick, we didn't know what to get from him. He goes in. He's the youngest player in the league. The national broadcast couldn't stop talking about that at all, especially when he was playing against Chara.
Yeah.
Right?
So just for reference here, Mike Sillinger played in 1,049 games. He had 548 points. He was over half a point a game player in his career.
That's a nice career.
That's a nice career. He played for a very long time, 644 penalty minutes. Let's see. He played for Detroit, Anaheim, Vancouver,
3,
Philadelphia,
4,
Tampa Bay,
5,
Florida,
6,
Ottawa,
7,
CBJ,
8,
back when they were the Phoenix Coyotes,
9, yep,
St. Louis,
10,
Nashville,
11, oh my god.
And then a 3-year stint with the Islanders.
12 teams?
Hey, 12th overall pick.
Hey, I like that.
One pick for every team that his dad played for. So we're talking about a guy who had a pretty nice career, certainly was around at a lot of different places.
Right. And here's the thing about Cole, though, is we know that, at least like in Yarmo's eyes and in some of like us, the smart, like, the attentive fans' eyes, we want to see this kid be the second line center mostly.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to shift too much and be too polar about this because he is only 19 years old.
Right.
It would be great if he is the second line center for the future. Obviously, the goal is whether if it's Bedard or Fantilli or Carlson, you're gonna get your 1C in this draft.
Yes.
Right. And they've had other interesting prospects. Liam Foodie's still young, so we'll see if anything comes out of that.
Didn't they just sign a guy? Didn't they just like sign a kid too, like out of nowhere, like a college free agent or something?
You might be right about that, but it's totally evading my mind. So
I heard something about some kid getting signed the other day.
They've got Luca Del Bel Blues.
Luca, yep.
Just from this past draft.
There's Luca. There's there's Jordan Dumais.
Yeah, Dumais a winger, but
I'm just thinking of
I'm
like
excited
all the
about
young.
him as a prospect. Look, I'm just talking center specifically for the plans and where this puts Cole. Cole is in a spot where, he's going to get the chance to do this because it's not like we have a crowded area right now as far as young centers are concerned.
Right.
Sure, they have Corrali locked in. Sure, they have Jenner locked in.
But you know what Corrali is, and you know what Boone's going to do for you in the short future.
The good thing about Boone and being your captain and being a part of this team long term is it gives a little bit of flexibility to where if Cole is just a really good third line center, that's okay. Because you can put Boone at second line center and then have whoever you pick this year be your number one center for the next, hopefully 15, 20 years.
Right.
So I hope that this season doesn't, turn people off from Cole Sillinger. I hope it just tempers expectations a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because of a lot of expectations with this fan base on both sides of the coin. There's and we can just say, yes, both of our cappies are going to Cole, and here we go. The getting into the Cali trip really quick. Taking a win from San Jose in overtime. That was
a successful win, and I'll tell you why it was a successful win. They needed a win. First of all,
yeah.
Second of all, you had unbelievable performance from Johnny Gaudreau. He had 5 points.
Amazing. I'm surprised we didn't even think about giving that to Johnny.
Well, third, yeah, because we didn't talk about that game, but I think it was important to give it to Cole here. But
yeah,
third, I have said on multiple occasions that losing in overtime does not help you. They found a way to win, and in winning, they gave a point to the Sharks, which helps them.
Right, yeah.
Because you're not gaining 2 points on San Jose. You're only gaining 1, and that's big.
Yeah, that's big for the draft position thing. The loss against the Kings, and Corpy and Gavi, and just that was a little
I didn't get a
sudden.
chance to watch it. It was too late for me.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch any of the Cali games, but at the same time, just the sentimentality between playing against Corpy and
I was a little surprised that they didn't go with Corpy for that game.
Yeah, they went with Copley, didn't they?
Yeah. And Copley had a good game, but like I kind of just thought it was like a lock that Corpusella was going to start against Blue Jackets.
You would have thought.
I would have thought like, hey, it'd be a fun time for him to play, but they don't want to wear the guy out too much before the playoffs, so I understand the perspective from that. But yeah, I mean, look, I think it was a successful Cali road trip. You did get a win, and in winning a game, you didn't give up too much position in terms of draft because you gave a point to San Jose. You lost to LA in regulation. Good. Mm-hmm. You lost to Anaheim in regulation. Good.
7-4. What a shooting gallery. Woo!
I'll say this. I almost always bet on former Blue Jackets to score. And once Scott Harrington scored the 1 goal, I was like, I'm not going to bet on him now. He already scored once. I am so pissed that not only did I not bet on him once, I didn't bet on him twice, and he scored 2 freaking goals against us.
He scored one with the goalie in net, and he scores an empty netter too. And it's just like, man.
That is just unbelievable, man. I mean, hey, good for Scott. I mean, he's played pretty well since he was picked off waivers by the Ducks, so maybe that gives him an opportunity to play somewhere else next year. But like I consider that to be a good loss because sure you gave up 7 goals, but you didn't give up 7 goals with Elvis or Tara in net, and you were able to score 4 goals. So at least the offense got going a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So at least and we've talked about all right. The team is now mathematically eliminated.
Yeah.
It's just only a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I'm surprised we weren't the first ones mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, to be honest with you.
Yeah, same here, but depending, like, it was based on the standings in the conference, so that kind of helped us not be the first. But
conference-wise, yeah.
Yeah, because that's why we weren't the first eliminated, but
yeah, because the West is just yike.
Yeah.
So all right, the fan base, addressing the fans really quick. The polar opposites within Blue Jackets fandom it's not surprising to me, but it gets tiresome.
What is this in reference to?
This is in reference to a couple of things. This is in reference to the draft side of things. Mm-hmm. And being so gung-ho on Connor Bedard. Like Connor specifically.
I mean,
right?
He's Connor Bedard.
Like, I mean, I get that point, but it's just like, I think so many are so, tied into that part of it now and locked into, why are we winning?
Yeah,
they lose they lose the point of when young teams get wins like this, That just shows that they're going to be dangerous soon.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think a 6-5 win over the Sharks is any indicator of how the team's going to be next year. But
well, no,
it's
but that's
good for confidence. Like you can't go on like a 15-game losing streak to end the season. I mean, that just kills everything. So yeah, like don't get me wrong. When we lose in regulation, I'm happy that it brings us closer to locking in a top 3 pick. Don't get me wrong.
right.
But I'm not going to sit around here moping and being pissed off that we won a game against San Jose. Like these guys are under contract. They get paid to play the game. I expect them to try. And you should too.
Okay, so this is an actual like tweet that I was trying to reference basically. This is CBJ haters. the guys that are like kind of the anti-artillery guys, right? They're fun dudes. Think our fan base is just so dead set on getting the number 1 pick that we fail to see the good in winning hockey games. The team struggles since their conception has created an impatience within the fans, and understand that. We as fans just have to look at it holistically.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with really any of that. And I think part of the thing is like it's such a different draft.
Yeah.
To where like this isn't like, you can get a good player first overall. Like, no, you're getting a franchise altering player first overall.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever gets the number 1 overall pick is going to pick Connor Bedard, and he's going to be a game changer for them.
He's
a
going
franchise
to change...
altering player for them. And that's what we need. Don't get me wrong. Rick Nash had a phenomenal career, and Rick Nash is, Mr. Blue Jacket.
Yes.
But guys, like when this first overall pick isn't Rick Nash. Like this is a player who will be comparable to Connor McDavid.
This is McDavid, Crosby, Ovechkin levels of game changer. Like,
so I get it. Like I get it. Like I understand both sides of the coin where it's like I don't want to lose every hockey game because I want these guys to try, and I want them to have some confidence. Like I know we lost, but I thought the game against Anaheim was a little bit of a win just because Cole scored, because that's big for his confidence.
And that's the thing, is you're seeing that come from so many guys up and down the lineup. You're seeing, Johnny have his 5-point game. You're seeing KJ and Cole finally gets a monkey off his back. KJ's doing his thing. Marchenko's doing
made
his
a great
thing.
Pass to get it to him for the goal, right?
Yeah, so, I'm pretty sure that was KJ. And Marchie is still scoring like crazy.
Blankenberg scored.
A lot. We love watching Blankenberg do his thing. Matthew Olivier has been a wonderful surprise on that 4th line.
I think that objectively, your best defenseman the last month or so has been Adam Boqvist.
He's
been great. I've loved his game the last month or so. So like that's another guy who is like we talk about the young guys. I think we forget how young Boqvist is sometimes.
Yeah, isn't he only 23?
Yeah, he's super. He might not even be 23.
Gosh,
I mean,
wow.
Let me just make sure. He might be, but like he's really young. Like
exactly. Like there's just so much.
He's 22.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He turns 23 in August 15th.
Wow.
So this is another guy. He's like 22 years old. He's really young. So don't get me wrong. Wow. I understand where both sides are coming from, where, you want some of these guys to gain confidence. You want to see some wins. You don't want to have to tune into every game through that shitty Bally Sports service just to watch a bad game.
Right.
But at the same time, this guy could change everything.
But it's like...
So, yeah, it's a tough one. But again, just because you get last place doesn't guarantee you get the guy.
But it's just like, it's such a headache.
Yeah.
Because of the way the lottery system works, even when the discrepancy, like I was looking at the draft odds this morning, and our chances as of this morning were like 25.5.
Yeah,
right?
25.5 is the percentage you get if you finish in last.
Yeah. And then the discrepancy between us and San Jose, which was second next highest odds, that's like 13.3.
Yeah, so it's like it's tough because that difference is significant, but at the same time,
It's a lottery.
I was listening to Kipper Board the other day, and
Yeah.
McLean was talking about it, and he had a quote that kind of pissed me off, but also made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
When he was talking about Columbus, he was like, "Yeah, he's like, if you finish last, he's like, you have a 25% chance of getting him, which also means you have a 75% chance of not getting him."
That was a reply that the haters and we got in that discussion we had.
It's so that's it's the tough thing, because realistically, you could still get Connor Bedard even if you don't finish in last place. The Blue Jackets could go on a win streak here and finish with the fourth best odds for him and still get him.
Yeah,
you never know.
Well,
but
that
for
was
me, the reason.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I compare it to Detroit and how abysmal they were just a couple of years ago, and they were like a lock for the first overall pick,
and they got fourth.
Yeah.
But it's what you make of it. Do you know who they got with the fourth overall pick?
Mo Seider.
No, they got him with the sixth overall pick.
Oh, that's right. Oh God, it wasn't Seider. It was
Lucas Raymond.
It was Raymond. That's right.
Yeah. So like, is getting the first overall pick good? Of course it is. But at the end of the day,
you need to have a smart you need to have a smart front office in order to know, like, duh, of course. It's like it's the obvious decision to get.
You can have a dumb front office and still make Connor Bedard great. You just select him. But like, if you get screwed here, well, what do you do with the pick? What happens if you get the second or third overall pick? Well, you can.
There's an Adam Fantilli. There's a Leo Carlson. There's a Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, you could say we're willing to be patient. We think that Michkov is the best player available, and we're gonna wait.
There's a Braden Yeager out there. There's so much talent.
There's a Will Smith out there. He doesn't slap people in the face, Oscars, but he's still mean talent on the ice.
He could still kind of get jiggy with it out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent available.
Yeah, there is. Man.
Yeah, like, but the last point I was gonna make is like, the reason I want to finish last is not because it guarantees Bedard. It's just because it guarantees a top 3 pick.
Yes, and
it makes it very likely you get a top 2 pick.
I understand the impatience that this fan base has.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah, because it wasn't. Hey, you know what? It comes after getting a taste. Made the playoffs 4 years in a row. They won a series against Tampa.
You win your first series, and it's amazing fashion.
Shit, a couple of bounces in that Boston series, you might be in the third round of the playoffs.
Like, exactly.
It was a close series. Like, it's a lot of passion. It doesn't. It also, like, you have to think about the people in Columbus for a second. And I want to make anybody who isn't a Blue Jackets fan who listens to this. What is the number one entity in Columbus?
The Buckeyes.
Yeah. There's no patience with Ohio State. It's all expectation. No.
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking to people in Central Ohio. You're born with this sense in you of urgency with every team. Like, the Buckeyes made the playoff last year and were a point away from beating Georgia. Like, they make a field goal, they're going to the national championship. They probably win it. And there are people out there, myself included, who are wondering about the long-term security of Ryan Day and whether or not he's the right guy.
Yeah, and you look at the quarterback history just within the last decade.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. CJ Stroud,
Justin Cardale,
Dwayne Haskins,
yeah.
They had Braxton Miller. Like, he turned into a receiver, but Braxton Miller was
JT Barrett.
Yeah, like. You want to talk about expectations? Ohio State, these last 2 years,
lost quarterbacks.
They lost 2 games. They lost 2 games this year, 2 games last year. Now, granted, The 2 games we lost this year were to a playoff team in Michigan
Yes.
and the national champion in Georgia.
Right.
And we're furious. We're pissed.
Well, like one was a huge blowout against our biggest rival ever.
Yes.
And the other one was, we were down to it.
Yeah.
And it was
here's the funny thing. One field goal changes everything. Just a couple of things go differently, and the conversation's different because sure, you get blown out by Michigan, but if you beat Georgia and you win the national championship, nobody gives a shit anymore. But because it didn't happen, now we're all just mad online about Ohio State and the future of the Buckeyes and whatnot. And that's just how we are in Ohio as Buckeye fans. And I think a little bit of that creeps in with the Blue Jackets.
Yes, it does. And part of that is the growth of the Blue Jackets fan base.
Yeah.
Over the last few years. And another
100%.
part of that is the, how do I phrase it? The youth of the franchise, I guess. Because you got to remember that this franchise only like Nationwide Arena broke ground the year that I was born. And, the franchise came in 2000, 2001.
Yeah. Well, and let's think about this for a second. Just think about the success of other teams in Ohio.
Yeah.
The Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
That's Cincinnati fans. Like, there's a lot of people from Cincinnati who root for the Blue Jackets. There's a little bit of a tie-in there. And then a lot of people from Cleveland, you think about some of the success that Cleveland's had. The Guardians have been consistently good for quite some time. They made the World Series in 2016. The Cavs won a championship in 2016.
The Monsters won a championship in 2016.
Yeah, like it was the year of 2016 for Cleveland. Ohio has had some significant success, I would say, in the last decade as far as their sports teams are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blue Jackets are at the bottom of that.
Yeah.
They're not the bottom. I would, I don't mean to cut deep or anything. I would say the Reds are.
I mean,
last.
yeah.
But
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Don't worry. I'm just God. I want Castellini.
I mean, they're neck and neck with the Browns. The Browns have a playoff win. The Blue Jackets have a playoff series win. Where do you rank it? Are the Blue Jackets ahead of the Browns just because they've made the playoffs more? If you want to say that, sure. But the point is, you do not want to be just a pinch above the Cleveland Browns when we talk about success.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's really what it is just, guys, we got to be patient.
It's a tough.
It's Ohio sports.
It's tough. You're asking Ohio sports fans to be patient. It's hard. It's hard. I find it hard sometimes. I struggle with it. I think I'm a pretty patient person. I still struggle with it. It's not fun being patient. You can trust the process all you want, but there's no guarantee the process will work. So patience is hard because you don't know what you're waiting for.
Just ask the Sixers fans.
Yeah, I mean, the Sixers are good this year, but trust the process. They waited forever, and the outcome was, Joel Embiid's great, but the real Ben Simmons, come
Simmons,
on, man.
yeah.
Thankfully they were able to turn it into James Harden, but the process started in 2013 because that's when they got Embiid second or third overall.
Yeah,
it's 2023 now. They haven't won a title, and they're the 3 seed in the East right now. There's no guarantee the process will work.
Right.
And that's part of where the impatience comes in because, you can ask yourself and tell yourself to be patient all the time, but there's no guarantee that the patience pays off to a Stanley Cup.
And we know now that people like John Davidson are getting frustrated with the season or have been.
Yeah.
And we understand that because we know that this team was supposed to be better. Right?
Yeah. Like I said, on many occasions, I thought they punched above their weight last year. And I expected them to not do that this year, which is why I had them finishing in a similar spot as last year.
Right.
Well, there's no doubt about it. On paper, they were a better team. you can't add Johnny Gaudreau to that roster and get worse.
Exactly.
And they did. They did. They got a lot worse.
And a lot of that, is the same things that we've been rehashing all season long. It's the long-term injuries to guys.
Long-term injuries, coaching.
The coaching,
I think, is the biggest thing.
The coaching's the biggest thing, yeah. And Elvis having as terrible a season as he's had, not having Corpy for like your first quarter of the year.
And then not having him recently because you traded him. Which I'm not upset about, but as a result, you don't have him lately, so those are games you're not winning.
So now you have Hutch, and it's just like I don't know.
You got a quick reminder, very very quickly, that it's Michael Hutchinson.
You got Hutch, Elvis is gone, and biggest condolences to him and his family now that his grandma's passed away.
Yeah,
like seriously, we need to reach out like that. All the best for Elvis, and I hope he's okay. He should just stay home for the rest of the year at this point. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the worst thing for him, and I don't think it's the worst thing for the Blue Jackets. Take some time for yourself, get a head start on the off season and everything you need to do to come back for next season. And this will give some opportunities for Michael Hutchinson to lose us some games and for Daniil Tarasov to get some experience.
To get some time, yeah. So that's kind of where we're at now. Is we just got to ride the wave until the season ends.
Yeah.
And gosh. So we don't play again until we're in Vegas tomorrow on Sunday, and then we record as we play at Washington on Tuesday. And then we don't play again until we host the Islanders on Friday.
All right.
So that's the next little batch. Speaking of, I'm just like looking at the point scorers and everybody for Vegas. Jack Eichel, 23 goals and 51 points in 56 games. Chandler Stevenson, 13.
Alex Tuck better.
Yeah, he is. Chandler Stevenson, 13 goals, 40 assists for 53 in 69 games. Pretty nice.
Alex Tuck, real quick, has 30 goals and 34 assists for 64 points in 60 games.
Wow. Look at Tucker go, huh?
Yeah.
Love that. And then, Chandler is leading the team in points with the 53 points in his 69 games.
Nice.
Boone leads Columbus in goals with 23 in 57 games. Johnny, 46 assists in 66 games. And Johnny, 63 points in 66 games. Look at him go. Like, if there's ever a bright spot like to look at, it is Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah, I mean, it. What would the team be like without him?
God,
I don't even want to think about that.
We would be literally the palindrome opposite with Boston.
Yes.
In terms of statistics.
Yes.
And we're already kind of halfway there.
Bad.
It'd be like so much worse. All right.
If it's the palindrome like opposite, does that mean that we would be? Let me look at Boston's record real quick. Where are they at right now? I know that they've actually had some losses recently.
They have, and
I
mean,
they're 51, 11, and 5. Does that mean we'd be 5, 11, and 51 on the year? We would just lose a shitload of games in overtime.
Maybe. That could actually give us like way more points than we deserve.
Yeah. What would that be? It'd be 50. We'd have 61. Oh my god, we'd have more points.
Yeah, we would. If we just lost so much in overtime.
That'd be 61 points. What are we at right now? Like 48 or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so sad. I'm depressed.
Wow. Well, the sad thing is we need to go into a bit of a harder story now.
Yes.
Okay, how do I start this? There was a viral video that came out over the last week.
I didn't know which one we were going to. But
I didn't get a chance to watch it because I'm not going to watch the original video of this thing.
No, you don't.
I don't want to give that the time of day.
Mm-hmm.
But Carson Briere.
son of Danny Briere,
who is currently the interim general manager for the Flyers.
Hasn't even been the interim GM for a week. How the hell are you the interim GM for less than a week anymore? The Flyers just can't avoid bad PR.
Well, did you see their St. Patrick's thing?
Yeah.
It was just like, it was very similar to the Bears one from a couple of years ago or last year. It was like, yikes.
Like, Jesus.
So Carson plays currently at Mercyhurst.
Yes, I have seen him before. Several times, actually.
He's a defenseman, right? Or
he's a forward.
He's a forward. Okay.
Real context, just quick context on this.
Mm-hmm.
He did not originally commit to Mercyhurst. He went to Arizona State and was kicked out.
Really?
Yes. I want to repeat that real quick for people. He went to Arizona State.
Where Doan plays, yes.
Arizona
where Jacob Doan
State.
plays.
Don't even think about the program. Just think about the college.
Yeah,
Arizona
that's a great college.
State. And he got kicked out of that school. How the hell do you get kicked out of Arizona State?
I don't know. I don't know. I went to Bowling Green for all 4 years. Like, dude.
I don't even know how that's possible. I have no idea.
Then
he went to Mercyhurst.
It's a good school.
The party school. How the hell do you get kicked out of that school, man?
It's a good school. It's a good party school. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So then he goes to Mercyhurst. He's playing for Mercyhurst. And basically the story is he's like, I don't know, he's like hanging out with friends after a game or something.
Yes.
Right? Or after a
They're
practice
at like
or
a
whatever.
bar or something like that.
And there's a kid who's, disabled, wheelchair accessible. Right? And he goes in, he's using the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Carson is I want to say he was the actual perpetrator of this, but like he's surrounded by his friends too. Takes the kid's wheelchair, pushes it down a flight of stairs, and the wheelchair breaks.
Yeah, it's an expensive ass wheelchair. It's like $5,000. It's not cheap.
I don't know if it again, I didn't watch the video. I don't know if it just like broke into several pieces or like, I don't know.
I think there's just damage to it. I don't think it
I don't know how a wheelchair can break. Like, yeah.
So real quick, here's an article that I have from hockeyfeed.com. Carson Briere came to Mercyhurst in 2021 from Arizona State because he was in trouble there. He and a teammate were kicked off the team for violating club rules for partying too much.
Partying too much. Okay.
How do you party too much at Arizona State?
Like a nightly thing? I don't know.
Like, good Lord.
What the hell? And like, okay, so we're laughing, but this is like,
No, like we're not laughing at what he did. We're just like, there's something so unbelievable about getting kicked out of Arizona State for partying too much. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
At Arizona State.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a kid who's already gotten kicked out of a place before. And he does this disgusting piece of shit move.
Yeah.
And it's a terrible look all around.
And it was a random student too, wasn't it? It was like, it's like some other student who's just trying to have fun.
Yeah. I have no idea why he did it. It's just disgusting. It really is.
And so Mercyhurst issues a statement.
A very, very shitty statement that doesn't provide much clarity of anything.
I'm trying to see if I can find it because there's actually not the Flyers St. Patrick's thing. Accessible seats at TD Garden, which is a similar thing. Slater Cuckoo, Which, by the way, that was actually a nicer story. Slater Cuckoo coming out about his anxiety.
Yeah, I actually didn't read that.
Yeah, he came out, and that's why he's no longer in the game. He was just dealing with so much anxiety that he wasn't eating and things like that.
Oh God.
Like, poor guy. I'm glad he's doing better. Good for Slater.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so here's a big tweet that I just found about. Hi, I'm Sydney, and it was my chair that was pushed down the stairs.
Yeah, I read that tweet.
So this is from Sydney, the student. I'm so thankful for all of Sullivan's help in this situation and the kind comments I see on Julia's post. I swear I really don't want to keep a cent of the donated money. I'd much rather give it to those who need it. So apparently, students and others have donated to help fix your chair.
To help fix the chair, yeah. Which, like, you know, it's just good nature thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the statement from Mercyhurst. After conducting an initial investigation into the incidents depicted on social media, the Mercyhurst Athletics Department has determined that 3 individuals in the video are student athletes. We've placed all 3 on interim suspension from their athletic teams per school policy, pending the outcome of the investigative process. That's it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. You did the bare minimum job.
Cool. Can't wait for you to bury this.
Yeah. And they will.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Beyond frustrating.
And that makes
I'll say this.
That makes them look bad. It makes Daniel look bad. Because, like, this is your son, dude.
Here's where it's like I saw people like getting on Danny Briere about this. Like, people were tweeting at the Flyers, like, "What are you going to do about this?" Well, what do you mean? What are the Flyers going to do?
The Flyers can't do anything about it. No.
They can't do anything about it. Are they going to fire Danny Briere because his son was being an asshole?
No, and that's the difference, right? Because the NHL team had nothing to do with this.
Yes.
Danny
himself, as far as we know, had nothing to do with this because he wasn't there. Like we don't know how good of a father he is.
No.
I really do think that putting any blame on him is kind of a shitty thing to do.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what kind of a father he is. You can be a great father and still have a kid be a shitbag and do terrible things.
Exactly.
So I don't think it's appropriate to really bring Danny Briere into it and put any blame on him, because you can't definitively say that this is learned from him or anything like that.
There comes a point in a child's life after you become a legal adult, where it's your own decisions. You're separated from what you learn. Yeah, you like.
How old is Carson Briere? He's like 21, I think.
He's probably around, a little younger than you, probably.
Probably. Let's see here. September 23rd, 1999. He's 23.
Okay, so he's
legitimately 2 months younger than me.
Wow.
I don't do this shit.
No. God, no. I would hope not. Jeez.
So, like, at some point, you're just an adult, and you need to fucking act like one.
Yeah, and I've said this all the time, just in my life, that we as adults, especially as young adults, when you're in your 20s, when you're in your 30s, even when you know what you are in your 30s, we kind of just get up in the morning and we just make everything up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the difference, is when you still feel like a kid when you're an adult, and you just kind of feel like you're getting up every morning and you're making shit up every day until you go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, like, getting up and making a conscious decision of, I'm going to be a shitty person today.
Right.
Like, that's the difference, right? In terms of feeling like a child when you're an adult.
To me, like, I don't care how drunk someone is, how high someone is, or anything like that. Like, that it might impact your decision to do it, but it doesn't impact the fact that it was in your mind.
Right.
So This is just who he is. You know, if he was sober, maybe he makes the decision not to do it, but it's still in his mind questioning whether he should do it or not.
Yeah, possible.
Which is the problem.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, the decision was definitely a problem, but the biggest problem of them all is that it was even a choice.
That it came across his brain in the first place.
If I see a wheelchair by a
flight of stairs, yeah,
I'm not. It doesn't go through my mind of what if I just pushed this thing? No, I just walked by it. Nothing comes in my brain about that.
Yeah, it's like this has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's just some other patron at the bar you're at. Like,
yeah,
who cares?
Good Lord.
Be a decent human being.
Yeah, I mean, he's 23 years old, already got kicked out of a program. Who knows? If Mercyhurst does the right thing, he'll be kicked out of that program too. Mm-hmm. And time to grow the fuck up and figure it out.
Oh, yeah. It's like you're 23, dude. You only have a couple more years until you really are going to have to hit the ground running and live your fucking life.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you end up, like, I doubt he makes the show after this.
Well, he's
anyway.
Well, let's be real. The reason that he's not going to make the show is because he's just not good enough to be an NHL player.
Yeah, well, he's in Mercyhurst. That's why.
Yeah.
Oh boy. But yeah, I don't know, and everybody piling on Daniel for this too.
It doesn't make sense to me to do that.
It doesn't make sense. Especially because, like, he's kind of doing a decent job so far. Like, he hasn't done.
I don't know. He's been there for a week. I'm not gonna
exactly, but still, it's like doing the day-to-day things.
He has done a fantastic job this past week of not being Chuck Fletcher.
His PR is already miles better.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like, I don't know, and who knows? He's optimistic that he'll keep that job.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is going to play a factor in whether he does or not. But
it's Danny Briere and the Flyers, dude. Like,
here's the thing, though. And I was listening to 32 Thoughts about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Flyers obviously love former Flyers. They love their guys who feel like Flyers, right?
Yes.
Sorry. Does Danny Briere throughout his career feel like a Flyer, though?
I mean,
I think most people remember him as a Sabre.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you talked about the 05-06 Sabres and how 3 of them are GMs now.
Like, he had a good run with the Flyers when he went to Philadelphia, but his career, like, when you think Danny Briere, I think most hockey fans outside of Philadelphia are going to say Sabres. So, is there someone else available? Are they just going to go away entirely from the Philadelphia Flyer in the front office kind of situation? Like, I wouldn't be totally surprised if they just entirely cleaned house and started over.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with this situation with Danny Briere. It has nothing to do against Danny. I just think for the Flyers, if you're going to have any sort of success, you have to change your ways.
You have to do, well, like, so the Broad Street Bullies mentality, I understand keeping that to a degree.
It's a brand.
Because it's a brand, and it's what brought your initial success back in the day.
Yeah, it could still bring people in a little bit.
Yeah. But at some point, you need to, like, adapt that around what the game is now.
There's no better case of that than the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Just look at their roster.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you can incorporate that and still have a good hockey team.
Because they're still the big bad Bruins.
Yes. It's just like all their guys who are big bad Bruins also have skill to them.
Yes. And they're good, like, for 15, like, anywhere between 10 and 20 goals a year. even in their bottom 6. It's like,
yeah, Garnet Hathaway's got over 10 goals this year already.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, so it's this is a mess all around, but I don't blame, obviously you can't blame the Flyers. I don't blame Danny Briere because I don't think it's appropriate. Just be better as a person. That's all it comes down to.
Carson, grow up.
Yeah.
God. We're going to stick with college for a minute because we got to talk about your favorite guy.
Which one?
Devon Levi.
Oh, yeah. See, when you said my favorite guy, I thought we were talking about Corson Coleman's.
No, because we talked about Corson.
Yeah. No, I love Devon Levi. Devon Levi is leaving Northeastern with the second highest save percentage from a goalie all time in college history.
Wow.
He's even got a higher
college history.
Yes. Even higher save percentage than Ryan Miller.
No.
So he's going to Buffalo.
He signed his entry level. He signed to the standard 3-year entry level, right?
Yep. And right now they're just going through like the immigration process.
Right, between Canada, yeah.
It's so he can join the Sabres. He'll join the Rochester Americans.
Yeah.
Sabres fans, be patient. It's going to be worth it. He's going to be fantastic. He is the solution in that. I know there's been a lot of concerns about Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and where his future is.
I feel so bad for UPL because I feel bad for UPL because I thought he until they got Levi, I was like maybe Ukko's going to be the guy.
I think everybody thought he was going to be the guy. He just hasn't played well enough.
Right.
Fortunately, he's still going to get chances though. He's still up with the team right now.
I think him, with Devon would be fun.
Yeah, here's the good thing for UPL is they traded away Eric Portillo for a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
So that at least, if Eric Portillo had stayed, if they had signed him, then that would have just been the end of UPL in Buffalo. But
right,
at least he still got a chance to fight for his job. Because I don't know if Craig Anderson's going to come back next year or not. They're only going to have one more year remaining on the deal of Eric Comrie. So
I don't know about Craig because just, who knows? He's got to call it quits at some point, right? Look at him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
He's fine, but still, he's 41.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he called it quits at the end of the year and they just rolled with UPL and Comrie next year. And then after that, they roll with UPL.
And that just makes me feel bad for Comrie because look at what happened with them in Dallas. He was in for all 10, Jay.
Yeah.
What the hell?
It's brutal.
That's so I just felt bad for him by the time it was 6.
Yeah.
And then by the time he led in the 7th, I was like, what is going on? Why is this a Patrick Waugh situation?
It was like when Al Montoya was left in for all 10 goals.
Yeah, and Montoya too. Yeah.
Against the Blue Jackets.
Exactly. And Montoya was hurt during that. And there was, what's another one that was like that? That was when Bernier and Jimmy Howard in Detroit got lit up and Jimmy was taking Jimmy was taken out. Bernier was getting an IV in between periods, and then Jimmy had to come back in. And
yeah, that was crazy.
It was just there's
nothing worse than getting pulled from a game and then you have to go back into the game.
Ugh.
That is just a nightmare scenario.
Well, especially with those two, because what was going on with a stomach bug and getting an IV and shit, and it was ew.
Yeah, but I love this deal for Buffalo. Don't get me wrong, I love Sam Reinhart, fantastic player.
Mm-hmm.
I know that they miss him up in Buffalo, but that trade is going to be well worth it because Devon Levi is well worth it.
We'll hope so because look at what the Sabres are doing right now and how competitive they are right now.
And then you add a potential franchise goalie.
You already have an emerging franchise center in Tage.
You have another really good center in Dylan Cousins. You've got wingers who are playing well Tuck's not 30 yet, but early into his 30s, Jeff Skinner. He's a 30-goal guy. Tuck is over point per game.
Yeah.
You've got 2 unbelievable defensemen, Erasmus Dahlin and Owen Power.
Yeah.
You've got another solid one in Matthias Samuelsson.
Yeah.
JJ Paterka and
Jack Quinn.
Yeah, like Peyton Krebs is actually coming along
Hopefully,
pretty
hopefully
nicely.
Peyton builds
You
it
know,
up.
who's
Yeah.
been the most underrated player, I think, arguably in the National Hockey League this year.
And the
Like
whole league.
nobody is talking about this player at all. Their production stunned me.
I mean, we did talk about that with Jared Spurgeon for quite a bit.
Yes, but I mean like nobody, and I mean nobody has talked about this guy once.
It's not Casey, is it?
Casey Middlestad's got 42 points in 68 games this year.
Oh my god!
I had no idea. This guy's gonna crack 50 points this year. And I had
Hell yeah, Casey!
no idea. Yeah,
Look at like we had high
pretty
hopes
good.
for Casey like a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Right?
and
Like
it kind of just felt like it was gonna fall apart, and he wasn't gonna turn that into anything. No, he's gonna have over 50 points this year, and nobody has noticed.
He's gonna be just fine.
Yeah. So that's another guy like legitimately nobody's talking about. And I looked at it the other day, and I like my eyes like popped out of my head like cartoon style. I was like, "What?"
And I know this guy's a bottom six guy who's been there like forever, but this is a guy that I love.
Zemgus
Girgensons. Just
Dude, he fills his role perfectly.
he fills his role perfectly. He's another one of our Latvian guys that we love.
Of course.
You know, because we just love Latvians on this show, apparently.
Yeah.
With Elvis.
Go out and get Teddy Bluger.
Elvis, Teddy, and Zemgus.
Yeah.
Right? And Zemgus is one of the most fun names in the whole league. Because, like,
I saw him at an All-Star game once.
Did you? How was that? Like
2015.
Oh, that's right.
Because it was the fan voting and all of Latvia voted
Oh,
for him.
right.
So yeah, he was John Scott before John Scott.
That's so great, though. And I mean, like, yeah, because Zemgus, you know, he's been there forever. Kyle Okposo's like their perfect captain right now.
Yeah, I think they'll extend him to a much smaller amount of money, but he'll stay around because he's a good captain. Yeah, I like what's happening in Buffalo right now, and Devon Levi is a big part of it.
I hope that what's Terry's wife, because wasn't she going
Kim.
through some health?
Yeah,
Kim, right? Wasn't she going through some health issues recently?
Yeah, we haven't heard much about it though, so I think things are probably going fine.
I hope she's going to be okay. Because,
okay.
like,
yeah. It's like here's the thing: give a little bit of credit to the Pagulas for once, because like it took them forever to do it with the Bills.
Yeah,
just let the football people do their jobs.
And now the hockey people are able to do their job.
Sabres, they're letting you know, their guys Kevin Adams do his job.
Yeah.
And it's working out.
And Don Granato's cooking his meatballs.
Oh my gosh, to perfection. The sauciest meatballs.
The sauciest meatballs, that's right. God.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled about what's happening in Buffalo. Really excited about this goalie prospect, Devon Levi, and I think we should stay on the topic of goalies and talk about maybe someone who's not quite as beloved.
Well, we got yeah. Do you want to hit that one? Do you want to hit that part first?
Yes,
yeah.
And you want to know why I want to hit it? Because when you put this into the notes, you neglected one very, very important thing to me.
Because you have the most hated and the most beloved goalie, potentially.
No. It is like the second or third time we get to talk about this player getting into it with someone that everyone hates.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Hartman is the people's hero.
I love Ryan Hartman.
Ryan Hartman has to be like an NHL fan favorite because he's getting into it with all the people that everyone hates.
Just because like we talked about it with him and Evander Kane. Like we actually have a clip of that somewhere.
And we have him now with Jordan Binnington. He's got one of the funniest trade stories of all time when he got dealt by the Flyers. History. And he was like away camping, and his mom tweeted was like, "Is anybody able to get into contact with my son? He got traded."
Yeah.
He's in a fun little career, but yeah. So he scores a goal.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Binnington throws a bitch fit, and
he throws his bitchington fits as he usually does.
After he gave up like his 7th goal of the game.
Well, that was the thing. So he gives up so much, and then he's visibly like having a meltdown.
Yeah.
And then he decides to take his blocker hand with his stick in it.
Yeah.
And brains somebody.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Well, I mean, you do if you're Jordan Binnington.
If you're Jordan Binnington, sure, because you're Jordan Binnington and you just have the biggest temper in the league.
Yeah.
It's like you're, you know,
you know what would be a big... Do you know what the solution to this is? Just play better.
Yeah.
Just play better.
Just
have
play
better
better.
Have better than an 892 save percentage, and this isn't a problem, Jordan. Say what you want about Elvis and how bad of a season he's had. He never does this shit because he's a grown-up.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Martin Jones has had a pretty horrific last couple of years in net.
Mm-hmm.
He's been like sub 900
always kept
seasons.
his cool.
He always kept his cool. He's a pro.
And this is, you got to remember, guys.
Jonathan Quick's got one of the biggest tempers we've seen in the league. He doesn't do this shit, and he's had a bad couple of years. He doesn't just dome guys for no reason.
And look at what he's doing in Vegas now.
Now he's back to 2012 form.
Yeah. It's just like, what the fuck is your problem, Jordan?
Yeah.
What is your problem? He gets suspended 2 games for this, which it's like, okay, on one hand, finally he gets a suspension for something.
And 2, like,
and on the other hand, it's like
2, why is the league helping out the Blues?
But like, you look at the track record that he's had with the bitch fits.
Yeah. High sticking history.
Exactly. And you look at that track record and you're like, how is this not at least 5?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, how many times is he going to pull this shit?
How is this not 5?
Nobody else has this problem in the league.
Look at what he did against the Sharks, where he faked out Carlson and he almost got into it with Devon Dubnyk of all guys.
Yes. Yes. The goalie that everybody wants to fight, Devon Dubnyk.
And he like goes chirping out at Radim Šimek. Like that whole incident, and then everything that happened with Nas.
Yeah.
That was way over the line.
Yeah.
And it's just like the huevos, the cojones on this dude to pull this kind of shit and then just whine like a baby.
That was pretty funny. I'm going to give you a lot of credit for that. That was good.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah. No, seriously, like, I 100% agree. Like, I don't know how to, like, talk about this without just repeating. What the hell is this problem? I don't understand it.
I really don't know.
Because legitimately, I've never seen
he has a problem.
We don't see this from guys.
No. He's the biggest fucking, like, and the crazy part is, did you hear what Marc-Andre Fleury said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this. So, like, we almost got a goalie fight.
Get into a fight with Marc-Andre Fleury.
We almost got it, and Flower
the literal
wanted
nicest guy in the league.
And Flower wanted it.
Yes.
Like, you could see it in his eyes. He wanted this fight when the linesmen were breaking it up.
If Marc-Andre Fleury wants a fight, that tells me he was about ready to kick the shit out of him.
Oh, yeah. And it's just the best part, because he's coming out in the post game and he's like, I heard somebody said that, you know, that Jordan got him in the ball sack. Can I say ball sack?
That is just the most Marc-Andre Fleury quote, that he said it like that. He's like, someone got him in the ball sack. Can I say that?
Yeah. And it's just like, that's what made him cross the line and want to go over and get him.
You got guys saying fuck and shit and all that stuff in interviews, and he's like, am I allowed to say ball sack?
I love Flowers so much.
But yeah, let me tell you, like, there's no scarier person to face in the world than a really nice person who finally gets mad for the first time.
Snaps. Yeah.
Finally snaps.
Like, it's because you got the biggest hothead goalie in the entire National
Hockey
League.
Who never actually fights. He starts shit and then he evaporates.
Well, because here's the thing. I was watching the Dang It's video where they were talking about this, right? And Steve goes, let him fight. Let him finally do it. And I'm over here. And here's the thing. I'm over here like, no. Keep giving him his blues balls. Like, I don't care.
But that's what he wants.
Because that's what he wants out of it, right? I don't want to see that. Like, I want to see the goalie fight, but
have you ever seen the fight where Brent Johnson punched Rick DiPietro and broke his jaw with one punch?
No.
It was a long time ago, so I don't know if you'd ever seen it before, but
no,
it's
one
of the funniest fights ever. Like it was a goalie fight between the Penguins and Islanders, and Brent Johnson just gets to center ice with Rick DiPietro and just clocks him in the jaw.
Yeah.
And DiPietro was out for a couple months after it.
See,
It's like one of the funniest visuals, and there's something about the potential of that visual happening to Jordan Binnington that's just
that's why. Okay, that is the one reason why I would want to see it.
Yeah,
is because you finally get a taste of your own medicine.
Yeah,
you finally get what's coming to you, and to have that happen against one of the nicest, not goalies but players, and people in the entire National Hockey League, in Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah.
I would have paid so much money to see
Dude,
that.
I need it like oxygen. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I need that like a morphine drip. Like,
yeah. But who knows? Maybe they'll have a conversation about just letting goalies fight when they try to make that happen in the next GM meetings.
Maybe. Yeah.
How about that transition?
I like that. I like that a lot. So the GM meetings happened over the last little bit.
Every GM was crying tears. They were very upset at the firing of Chuck Fletcher. Because that means there's one less guy that they could fleece in their next deal.
I love, because I have Michael Russo's Athletic article over, and we're just going to like scroll through the highlights of this.
Yeah.
I love this quote from Brad Treliving to start this, because here's the thing about this year's GM meetings. Not a lot of big stuff happened.
No.
But there are some notable things that we can still talk about.
Yeah, and we'll speed round this.
I love this.
I have to poop.
I have to pee. I love this quote from Treliving, who's the Flames general manager. Things are in a good spot right now, so there's nothing on the front burner. But it's always good to get everybody together and find ways to make our great game a little bit better.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't that right, Brad? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gary's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't really care.
Hottest button topic at the meetings was potential expansion of coaches' challenges, which would allow coaches to address friendly fire high sticking penalties and delay of game penalties where replay shows the puck clip the glass. Okay. All right.
I'm fine with that. Like, you know, I have some problem with some of the challenges, but no, I don't have a problem with them being able to review something like that, because it has a big impact. Because, you know, you think about like high sticking specifically, if you screw up the call and someone's bleeding, that's a 4-minute power play that you just screwed up. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have no issue with them reviewing that at all.
I mean, Waddell said something like, we want to get it right, but we can't review everything either. There's got to be, you know, things called that you like. There's going to be things called that you don't. So, like, where's the line drawn with that? Does more review cause delays or even more penalties instead of less? That kind of thing. For instance, if a coach challenges a high sticking minor and the replay shows he's wrong or it's inconclusive, there would be a delay and that team would face a 5-on-3. Right. Things like that. We have the technology in 23 to get it right, but at the same time, what's appealing about our game is that most of the time we're always under 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's a quick enough game.
Yeah.
We don't want these reviews to, you know, like we've seen it ad nauseum. Where the reviews take so much longer, and it's just like people want to go home. The problem
isn't necessarily the challenges. The problem is how long they're taking to review.
How long the reviews are. Yeah.
Yes. Here's the simple solution to this, okay? 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes to review something. If I challenge something, and here's the solution, okay? You want to hear it? Let's say I'm asking you to review a goal. I challenge it. You have 3 minutes to review it. Right. If you can't come to a conclusive decision in 3 minutes, then I don't get penalized for the challenge, but the call just doesn't get overturned. If you can come to a conclusion in less than 3 minutes and say this is definitively what happened, you lose your challenge and you get a penalty.
Right.
But if you can't come to a conclusion in 3 minutes, then why should I be penalized for that? That's not my fault.
That's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can't hit the 3 minutes, then then should that still, like, do you call that like a neutral delay a game? I don't know. Because that's the refs delaying the game. I don't.
Yeah, like it would just be like we just can't come to a conclusive decision about this. So the call on the ice stands. You're not going to lose your challenge. You're not going to lose your. You're not going to get penalized.
Fair enough. There was also a discussion among GMs about fights starting after clean hits. This is the big thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
When I texted you. Something the Situation Room's been clipping all season to present in these meetings. Of the 271 fights in the NHL this season, the league felt 89 came after a clean hit.
You're asking players in a split-second decision to determine whether a hit is clean or not, and that's the issue that I have with this. If players want to protect their teammate and get into a fight, even if the hit is clean, I understand that. Because, like, you see a guy get blown up, you don't know if he got his, like, chin or head or not. Like, you're asking players to make the determination to not stand up for their teammates just in case the hit was clean. And what happens if it's not a clean hit?
This comes after, Austin Watson on Tyler Mott.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we talked about that highlight and how it was like they didn't know whether they rode up to his chin or whatever it was. If apparently they found no direct head contact.
Yeah.
Things of that nature.
It's just such a everything's such a split second in this sport. Like, I think something like that is just too hard to enforce successfully.
Yeah.
And it's the end result is less people are going to be willing to stand up for their teammates after dirty hits, just on the off chance that, hey, I didn't see it. I don't know if it was dirty or not. Right.
But you can't also be flinging around instigator penalties left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So I don't.
It's a tough fix. I don't disagree with that. It's a tough fix. I don't think that there's a perfect solution to that.
GMs would like to see the instigator or a secondary minor, being roughing, slashing, cross-checking, whatever, assigned to a player who starts a fight after a clean hit. That's what they want to see.
Right.
That's like what and then, another fun thing, expanding 3-on-3 from 5 to 7 minutes before a shootout was also a topic, but no formal recommendation was made.
Do it.
I think
I know people have suggested 10 minutes. Do 7. I think 7's perfect.
7 is a nice happy medium, right?
It is. It's not too much. You'll get more games ended in overtime, and I think you'll see less shootouts. I don't think we're ever going to get rid of shootouts because I think they still need to be there just in case. But 7 minutes should be enough to get this down.
We got dates for more of the off-season stuff. We know July 1st, like, free agency is back to its normal date.
God. Thank God.
The draft lottery, the Bedard Bonanza, as the Athletic is calling this,
happening in New Jersey.
Ping pong balls are gonna fly May 8th.
Yeah, can't wait for May
8th. There's salary cap expectations. They are expecting the ceiling to increase from 82.5 to 83.5 million. So the debt by owners still isn't really settled. There's still, apparently, according to Bettman, about 100 million left to be paid off.
Okay.
So they're working on trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And the escrow and all of that stuff, we're still probably going to be dealing for that. What would you think? Maybe another 2 years?
Yeah.
2, definitely. Maybe 3?
I'd say 2.
So that's probably, we won't see like the big jump until, when would that put it? About
2025.
25-26 season?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I expected.
When the Coyotes are supposed to get their new digs. How about that?
Wow. Austin Matthews going to sign a 2-year extension with the Leafs so he can
So he
conveniently be a free agent.
and then go play in Tempe.
Yeah. Play in a legit arena for a real franchise.
For real. The Arizona Coyotes. That's right. If we're going to raise the cap and the escrow hasn't been paid off, then we're going to have to look at raising the escrow rates, which under CVA extension is locked in for the next 3 years of the CVA term at 6%. If you're going to raise the cap prematurely, then we're going to have to look at escrow percentage as well. So it's just like
it doesn't really...
it's a mess.
Yeah, like
we don't understand it as fans.
Well, the reason that they won't do that is because the players who are already locked into contracts are going to have to pay out more money for escrow. Like all that does is help out the free agents that come in next year because, sure, you can give more money to some of those free agents, but what about the guys what about Johnny Gaudreau who just signed the 7-year deal for less than $10 million? That kind of screws him a little bit. So that's the reason I don't think that will happen. Like that's going to happen at the next collective bargaining agreement.
Trying to fix the escrow kind of situation.
Yeah. So I'm fine with them not raising the cap that much in these next couple of years to kind of offset that.
I mean, we'll see how that, at least it's not pandemic related.
Yeah.
Like, I think those debts are all paid off, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully. Here's the big, because do you remember the other day talking with Alex?
Yes.
We talked about Jake Chikrin and Vlad having all those trade-related scratches.
Yeah.
They talked about this. When the Coyotes pulled Chikrin from their lineup well in advance of trading him to the Sens, Bill Armstrong coined it trade-related reasons. Yarmo mimicked the term when they pulled Gavrikov. Of course, teams have been scratching players before trades as asset protection for years, but this is the first time we've seen this as a reason.
Yeah.
The topic was glossed over during the meetings and isn't considered an issue yet. But
I don't think it's an issue.
No, but we still thought it was very weird.
I just thought it was extreme because we hadn't seen it this apparent.
This
egregious.
This blatant, this egregious for this long because Vlad and Jake were scratched for 2-3 weeks.
2-3 weeks before they were ever traded. Like that, we've seen players we saw Tyler Mott get scratched and then get traded 24 hours later. We've seen players get scratched and then get traded within 48 hours. I don't think we've ever seen a player
that's fine.
Get scratched for 2 weeks straight before they finally got dealt.
And I mean it's okay if they're still practicing or whatever.
Which Vlad did.
Yeah, Vlad was practicing. I don't know if Jacob was.
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't pay attention to that,
but that's too much, man.
It is.
That's too much action you're missing. That's too many chances to increase the value. If you're a GM, why is your coach doing this to your player?
Right. Well, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think it's because 2 or 3 games isn't going to change the value of a player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but still, if it's a 2-week stretch and you're missing
a 2-week stretch
4+,
I still don't know if that's as significant. Really, at the end of the day, the 50 games at the start of the season plus anything prior to that is what you're going off of. The Kings acquired Vlad Gavrikov not for what he could have done in those 2 weeks that he didn't play. They acquired him for, what he had done the previous 2 years.
Right. Yeah,
so that's the only argument I'll make against that.
Is that people the scouting and the GMs, they know what they're doing in terms of just watching over the course of a larger sample size.
They had their eyes on this player for a while. They didn't put their eyes on him a week or 2 before the trade deadline. You know what I mean? That
unless you're Patrick Kane.
Right.
I don't know, that's still really funny to me how Kane was just ugh, until they were oh, I could still go to the Rangers? All right. And then he just took off.
Yeah. if you're a GM and you have interest in a player, you're not going to the deciding factor of whether or not you trade for a player or not is not how they played from February 8th to February 17th.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my main argument.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. The Sens sale is going on to its next phase. So they're going to start, first round of bids are done, but there's plenty of interest, both in terms of number of bidders and the magnitude of interest. In phase 2, the league will take a matter of weeks to cut down the bidders.
Good.
So hopefully that'll raise the price and everything. And we've already talked about how they're, going over $900 million in
Ryan
terms of
Reynolds
bids.
will be involved, so that's pretty interesting.
And his team isn't really the favorite right now.
Are we allowed to bet on this?
It would be kind of
I'll
fun
bet
to
on
bet
anything.
It would be kind of fun to bet with that on DraftKings, wouldn't it?
Ryan Reynolds' group is plus 300 to buy the
So that's they're not the favorites exactly, but I think that if the current group that he's with doesn't get it,
he'll just team up with whatever.
The group that wins it will probably bring him in anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Because like that was one of Bettman's sticking points was we want to make sure that he's a part of this for the PR reasons and for just the publicity of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's huge. We've talked about at length how huge getting a guy like Ryan Reynolds would be for a team in this league.
Yeah.
It's amazing, especially being a guy, a Vancouver guy who loves the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's Ryan Reynolds. Come on. One of his characters already has red and black in his colors. Like, it's perfect.
Right, yeah.
Bettman said the purchase would not be tied into a new arena. That would be up to the new owners.
Which will happen. Like, that's...
We already know
you buy the Ottawa Senators, you're moving them to LeBreton Feds.
Like the LeBreton thing we already know is going to be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they mentioned LeBreton Flats in that. Cap circumvention. Coyotes continue to be clearing house and taking on all these dead contracts and, in order to get them to the floor, because they took Weber and Voracek. GMs often mutter quietly that the practice is baloney. I love this wording. Until they need to use it. And Bettman scoffed at it and yada, yada. Trades involve players. They involve draft picks. They involve cap room. It's a valuable asset. Yes, sure. Yes. Cap room is a valuable asset under this system. And if a particular point in time you can maximize the other assets you can achieve by using the cap space, he doesn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either.
So really, like,
this is the system we have in place.
This
funny. This is the loophole. Everybody uses it.
It's funny that like it's just now getting addressed publicly, though.
Yeah.
Right? Because for the last few seasons, the loophole's been used and Bettman swept it under the rug. Like,
I think it's gotten to a point where it's so egregious you can't ignore it. But I think it's very obvious that Bettman, and this is one thing that I actually agree with him on. I don't think it's an issue.
No.
There's loopholes. There's always ways to get around things as far as salary caps are concerned. Teams are going to use it. And I don't think it's hurting the game.
Well, if you want to keep the franchises that you have, especially in a place like Arizona, they need to churn out teams. They need to be able to pay their payroll somehow. They need to be able to fit within their limits.
And this is the way that Arizona can do this. They can have a bargain team for a couple years, save some money on it, get a new arena, and then when they start to make more money off the new arena and all this other stuff, then they can start to pay their players, which, by the way, they have a very young team with a very large prospect pool. This is just part of the plan. It's like a 5-6 year plan.
They know that this is a part of,
then they'll be fine. Like, as long as they get the arena deal done and everything's good, like we're good here. I don't see the issue.
Not anymore, because I know people were so up in arms about it when Tampa did it. And I think that's the difference.
And Tampa was not the first team to do it.
Yeah. That's the difference, though, is like seeing a contending team do it with like what they did with Kucherov versus what the Coyotes and the Blackhawks are doing, which taking on dead money.
I've said on multiple occasions, I'll say it again. If you can make the playoffs without Nikita Kucherov, like they played the entire season without Nikita Kucherov, and they had no issue making the playoffs.
Yeah,
I promise you, they did not win the Stanley Cup because they put him on the shelf for a year and he came back for playoff time. Like it helped, but no, they won because they're a good fucking team.
Yeah. Yeah. Cap circumvention anymore. I think we're just going to be like, I think we'll just be talking about it more in terms of just like, oh, look who's doing it now.
Yeah, that's how I view it.
It's just like cool to see who they're taking on now.
It's just a part of moves nowadays, in my opinion. Like
pretty much.
It's just like it's just like a move gets made. Oh well, we can put this guy on the shelf for a little bit. Like it's just a part of the system.
Yeah.
So I have no issue with it.
Playoffs. Gary says that he's fine with the playoff format. There's no.
I disagree. The playoff format sucks. Change it.
There's no interest in going back to the 8-team conference seeding. Which
Gary's an idiot. So
I mean, like, I get it for building certain rivalries.
I just think you don't have to artificially make rivalries to have good playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some of the best series are against two teams that aren't rivals at all.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I know one of the series that comes to mind that had no storylines as far as rivalries concerned heading into it was 2012. The Panthers played the Devils in the first round.
Wow.
And that went 7 games, and Adam Henrique won that series in overtime. He had a tendency to do that for the Devils.
Yeah, he did.
Like, that was a good series, and it was between the Florida Panthers and the New Jersey Devils.
Like, that's completely,
Like, you don't need to just fake these rivalries.
That's just good hockey.
Ways to get rivals to play in the first round to do that, because you're always going to lose 1 or 2 really good teams in the first round every year because of this system.
I love that
he's not fair.
I love that he says there's no difference between formats, and it's like, Gary, no.
There's a giant difference. The Blue Jackets were the 3rd best team in 2017 in the Eastern Conference, and they were the 3rd seed because the top 3 teams were all from the Metro. They won 50 games. They had a 16-game win streak, and they were out in the first round in 5 games because they played the eventual Stanley Cup winning Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
Don't even tell me that this playoff system's fair. We're going to lose the New Jersey Devils or the New York Rangers in the first round this year because of this. We're going to lose the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round because of this.
In the
Don't
East,
tell me that this is a fair system.
It's in the East. It's been almost a guarantee for weeks that Toronto and Tampa are going to be in the first round. Kyle's obviously fine with this.
Yeah.
Because they know that that's going to be a crazy series, right?
Now the Devils could win the division, and it could be Carolina, but still, you're going to lose one of Carolina, New Jersey, or New York in the first round of the playoffs because of this.
Yeah, and
that's
those
ridiculous.
Are huge markets for you.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy. Shovel Dayoff, GM of the Jets, whose team has currently lost 10 of their last 14.
And they are
like
still
they're on a slide
because nobody in the West is even close.
My feeling is that I'm just going to try like hell to get in the playoff.
Yeah.
That's what he says about it. They talked about the idea of putting in like a play-in as well.
Like what the NBA did.
Yeah.
I think it works for the NBA. I don't think it would work for hockey.
I do love that Gary's just like, there's nothing better in sports playoffs than our first round. And so I'm not sensing much of an appetite for change. Just, Gary, you're such
a douche.
Such a slice of white bread. You're just the blandest fucking human in the world. Ugh. Like, did you ever see Julian McKenzie's tweet of like just him looking like grandma?
No.
It was just like, it's super funny. You'll have to look at it. And then there's the pride jersey thing. The Minnesota Wild made the last minute decision to scrap it as well. Like, they're doing this. It's apparently Bettman doesn't see it as a concern, but we do.
Really?
Who would have thought Gary wouldn't see it as a Oh God.
Just for the love of God, just stop pretending you care.
It's no different than if you donate to 2 or 3 charities that are important to you and somebody says, "Oh, I have a charity and I'd like you to support this cause." And you go, "No, I don't donate to others." Oh.
What?
Apparently that's an analogy he's thrown around before.
I would just prefer that they get rid of the Hockey is for Everyone campaign entirely if they're not going to take it fucking seriously.
Asked whether the principle applied to players who'd prefer to wear a pride jersey but were not allowed, like John Merrill, Bettman said it was important that each team's choices applied across the board. God, like, if you're going to have something, embrace the thing.
Oh, my God.
Embrace the thing. We talked about it's in their contracts, guys.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. And then maybe there continues to be, this is the last thing, a potential return to Atlanta.
That's a great thing.
With reports recently that the league has been approached by parties interested in returning to Atlanta for a third time.
Thrashers.
Bettman said expansion is not a thought right now.
Okay, so relocate the Panthers.
There continues to be a number of people in entities and cities expressing having interest where they don't have one. Atlanta, Houston, Quebec City, but we're not in expansion mode right now, and it's not really something, at least now, it's please.
Atlanta.
Bring them back.
Bring them back.
Bring them back, because we know that ownership was the issue last time.
Yeah, bring back the Thrash. It can
work.
It can
bring
work.
Back the Thrash. Give us good ownership there. Give us a fun team there.
And watch them cook. They'll be good.
Dude, imagine the rivalries they could build with, like, a Dallas and the Florida team. Well, like, think about it. The Florida teams, Carolina, teams that are, like, in that kind of region.
I don't think Dallas would have a rivalry with Atlanta.
I mean, Southern State.
Who do we think? Who would Atlanta beef with?
Carolina.
Probably Washington.
Washington, maybe.
Yeah, Carolina for sure, because they've got. Think about Falcons, Panthers.
Yeah.
I was trying to think like Braves.
Like, like other sports. Yeah.
Yeah, like who they beef with and whatnot down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's
definitely
fair,
the Florida teams for sure, but Carolina too.
I was just thinking geography.
Yeah.
So that would be a fun, like Dallas and Atlanta would be like a fun, like, cross conference, I guess, if you want to. If you want to put Atlanta in the East.
Well, Atlanta's got to be in the East.
Yeah. Well, it's like, we talked about with Detroit and Columbus in the West in the past. It's like, oh, how did that work? Yeah.
That was a thing that happened at one point, and it was strange.
Yeah, it was very weird.
All right. This
but yeah,
it, right?
Yeah, we're done.
This one has been running long as shit.
Not really. We're about the same.
It's been an hour 45.
Oh, hour 45. Oh.
We started at 11:30.
Never mind. I'm sorry. We'll see you we'll see you Wednesday then. We're sorry, everybody.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Garinger, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.